the 144,000 is rising. And before we even get into this conversation, it's not the amount of people. It's a frequency. 144,000. It's a frequency of consciousness, and now more than ever, it's rising. You guys, when a comment section turns into a war zone because somebody died, obviously I'm referring to Charlie Kirk and the last video that I put up about him. When the comment section becomes a war zone based on 1 6-second clip in a 33-minute video, and that 6-second clip, just by the way, was me simply saying, I think Charlie's a good guy, or 33 minutes of conversation about love, about Christianity, about spirituality, about unity, all of that out of the window. In fact, irrelevant and inconsequential, because the attack, baby, the attack was on. So when that happens, it's not about the person, it's about the frequency. And boy, baby, this is what's going on right now. We're seeing two frequencies, the one which needs to defend the illusion aggressively, thank you very much, and the other one that is simply here to love and to remember more love. It's not a case of going, okay, I'm a part of the 144,000 consciousness, which we'll talk about in depth in today's video. It's not enough to go, okay, so I'm rooted in love, so I don't really have anything to do here. No, this is just the beginning for the 144,000 frequency holders. Again, not the number of people. Do you know how many people read either the thumbnail or the video and then comment without watching the video? I put up a video about the 144,000 many moons ago, and I'll link the video for you if you want to know more about the 144. There's actually an 11-point quiz on that video. Nonetheless, I'm very clear in that video as well. It's not the number of people. Do you know how many comments are there today in that comment section going, Kerry, you're so elitist. Do you really think that there's only 144,000 people? No, because I actually said it in the damn video. But imagine watching the video before you comment. Exactly the same happened with the last video that I put up about Charlie. I said something about Charlie Kirk triggering a timeline shift. Oh, the video had literally just been published. I think within the first 4 minutes, the critics, the haters were there, which tells you they hadn't watched the 33-minute video in the first 4 minutes, but there they were on the attack, on the how dare you bandwagon. So let's talk about the frequency split. So imagine it like a tear in the seam of the fabric of the timeline. And it's a tear that was always meant to be there. This is what was always meant to happen to our timeline. There will be numerous catalysts along the way. And the greatest catalyst is us, those who root into love. We don't need to wait for big events to force us now into rooting into more love. This is simply about the choice of being more love. An amazing wave of energy is washing through our planet right now. And in this wave of energy, there is consciousness, and there are many people waking up. There are many people through noticing, even those people who absolutely hated Charlie Kirk, they're noticing something, and that is, whoa, there's an aggression. And I want to talk about that aggression. There's an aggression that you're seeing people coming up with. It's the same aggression that I saw in my comment section. And do you know that it took me 4 people, 4 volunteers, 4 people in my comment section at one stage to block and weed out those putting abusive comments in the comment section. And you might say, oh, Kerry, just leave it there. The thing is, it's then uncomfortable for people of love to comment their love. It becomes an unsafe place for them. And I want you always to feel safe in my comment section, and to the very best of my ability, I will make that a safe place for you. I can't always monitor everything. But anyway, that's what it took because of the amount of aggression that we saw coming up. And I saw that same aggression, interestingly enough, on a Piers Morgan recent debate. And no, I don't know why I torture myself like this. I don't like watching those things. But Jeffree Star was on, and lately Jeffree Star has been so outspoken. He's had my jaw on the floor numerous times Gillian Michaels was there, and sorry, I don't know the names. Oh, Riley Gaines was there. I don't know the names of the other people. Anyway, the person who was on the attack was so vicious. And Gillian Michaels was just saying, and that's as far as her conversation would go, because he would ask her a question, this belligerent man who was just hammering home his point, Charlie's bad, Charlie's bad, Charlie's bad. And she was just trying to answer the questions that he had posed, but he didn't want her answer. So every time she opened her mouth to answer, oh, the aggression was there again. That's what's happening on our timeline. That's what's causing the split to solidify and amplify. And I know a lot of you guys get uncomfortable now and you go, that sounds like division, Carrie. I don't want division. No. This is about creating wholeness and unity inside of your field of consciousness, which is the field of consciousness aligning to love. There is a field of consciousness aligning to illusion, and they also deserve to have wholeness and unity in that field until it becomes uncomfortable for them, at which point they get to leave that field. That's the way the universe teaches us. Have you noticed this? I think you have. The universe hasn't supplied a rule book. You might say, oh, but the Bible is that. And many of you will know that my thoughts around the Bible are, religion is a beautiful thing. At least it can be. Spirituality is a beautiful thing. At least it can be. Within every sphere, within the false matrix, every sphere of life, whether it's politics, whether it's banking, whether it's religion, whether it's spirituality, lies and illusion and distortion have been woven into the fabric of that sphere of our reality, because that's the nature of living in a false matrix. Our journey was to, and I feel like Charlie Kirk exemplified this, was to go into the illusion and find the truth. And sometimes the truth is as simple as compassion, as simple as love. I recently watched this really beautiful JP Sears video. In fact, I'll link it in the comments below because it was really funny and he tickles my funny bone. And it was about how many people are quoting Charlie out of context. Whoa, mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And you can quote me out of context, you guys. I can listen to a conversation of yours and quote you out of context. Anyone can do this to anyone. It's a vile thing to do, and this is very much what many people are doing, taking him out of context, and JP Sears really highlights that, and he does a beautiful job of it, but be warned, his lipstick is a monstrous job. Go watch the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, there are truths woven into every sphere of society, just as there are lies. Our job is to be the barometer that's able to discern truth from lie. So now a question comes up, doesn't it? How do I do that? How do I know a truth from a lie? Because the 144,000 frequency is a frequency of truth. These people have an amazing skill, and that is that they are barometers for truth. They sense it. It's a feeling. It's visceral. It's palpable. And because of that, they are more attuned and more in tune with themselves, because that's where discernment comes from. Discernment comes from your connection to yourself. And the truer, the more authentic that connection is, the deeper your strength of discernment becomes. Flat earthers. What? Why are you talking about flat earth, Carrie? Let's talk about flat earthers, because they're a great analogy, a great teaching moment for me to highlight what I mean when I say, how can we tell the difference between an illusion or a lie and the truth? Here it is. The truth never ridicules. The truth is not aggressive. It's clear. Don't get me wrong. It's clear. It's firm. I won't be moved on this position because I feel the truth of it, but I'm not going to smack somebody in the face because they disagree with my truth. This is the truth. And I'm just going to hold it. That's what truth does. Truth just holds itself. A lie always needs to be defended. And one of the ways in which a lie will defend itself is to ridicule the truth, or to ridicule those who believe in the truth. Because as human beings, we have this soft spot for ridicule. We don't like it when somebody says, you're bad and here's why. I mean, Do you guys know the names I got called? Oh, white supremacist. I had no idea that I was racist. Apparently I am, because I put up a video talking about how Charlie Kirk and his passing shifted the timeline. It apparently made me a supremacist, a white supremacist, and the names that I was called that I had no idea that were completely aggressive and irrelevant to the conversation, which ultimately was a conversation about love. But anyway, I digress. The flat earthers do this. This is how you know the earth is not flat. This is how you know it's an illusion. This is how you know it's a lie. Watch the people who are flat earthers. Man, they're aggro. They're aggressive. And they call people who believe in a spherical earth globe tods and all sorts of derogatory names. They insult them. The truth wouldn't do that. The truth wouldn't sneer, the truth wouldn't jeer, the truth wouldn't harass, the truth wouldn't be aggressive. And here's what else. The truth wouldn't mind if you believed a lie. It would simply present itself and go like, okay, here you go. I believe that the earth is maybe not exactly a perfectly round ball, but kind of spherical in nature. If you held it up as a truth and somebody said, no, it's not, it's flat, it's square, it's oblong, it's all these different shapes, you would go, okay, but here's why I believe that it's round, and leave the conversation. If the other person doesn't believe it, you're not going to get aggressive with them and call them names. The truth doesn't behave that way. There's a reason why a lot of people will defend the illusion right now, and it's because and again, this has not even got to do with Charlie Kirk. This has got to do with two streams of consciousness. If you had believed a lie, which we all did at varying degrees, and even right now to varying degrees, because again, that's the nature of the false matrix. If you believed a lie and you intertwined your identity with a lie that you believed in, and you didn't want to go to the pains of imagining the possibility that you could possibly have been wrong, that your viewpoint was possibly not correct. If you are that person that feels that their life will unravel if it's shown that what they believed was a lie, then they simply will not go and look at the truth. They will instead defend the illusion without looking at the truth. When you see the nature of truth and illusion, it becomes very easy. It becomes very obvious. But remember, without discernment, which is connection to your truth, all of these things fall flat. The 144,000, again, the frequency of humanity rising into the higher timeline, that 144,000 frequency is rising. And one of the ways that we know that it's rising is more and more people holding more and more Christ alignment or Christ consciousness. And when I refer to Christ consciousness, it is not the being that we know as Jesus, although Jesus was a being who achieved Christhood. This is what we're here, each one of us, to be. This is what each one of us is here to realign with and reconnect with, and that is our nature as Christed cosmic beings. A Christed being is simply a way of saying a being aligned to God, a being aligned to divinity. Now, there's a biblical text, and I believe it's John 14, chapter 12, where Jesus says, you will do all of these works that I do, but better. He was alluding to the fact that every human being could do what he did and more. And the reference was, we all have the capacity to be Christed. That's the frequency of the 144,000. That's the frequency that is resurging. That's the frequency that is rising. And here's something astounding. Many people would have watched the question that Charlie Kirk was answering whilst he was in mid-question whilst he was assassinated. So of course there's a lot of focus on what that question was about, which bears its own level of irony because it was about violence of transgender people. Before that though is the real gem. Before that, and I will link the video where I found this information, it's from his photographer who was there on stage with him. And he said before that question that he began answering, which was his final question, he spoke about theology and he spoke about Jesus. And he spoke about how This man died, and what's radically astounding, I mean, you cannot help but see these parallels. Remember, 144,000 frequency. It's a Christ consciousness. He was exemplifying exactly what he was speaking about, because he said that this being Jesus loved the world so much that he died for their sins and he rose 3 days later. Now, by the way, do I believe he died for humanity's sins? No, I actually don't. That's biblical speak, and that's fine. There's no need to debate anything. There's only a need for you to know your truth. Nonetheless, the amazing parallels is how Charlie was exemplifying the rising of consciousness. Truth cannot be shot down. Love cannot be denied. Light cannot be covered up. Not forever. For a little while, yes, that's what we're emerging from. That's the false matrix that we are emerging from. It's the shadow, it's the illusion that we are rising from. We are in the resurgence. We are in the rising now of the 144,000 consciousness. You guys, some people are so literal. Somebody wrote, this was yonks ago, it was just such a silly old comment. Sometimes people say things and I go, you can't really think that, can you? And then I find out they do, and it's always a little bit of a shock. But somebody wrote, oh, so what frequency exactly is 144,000 hertz, Kerry? If it's a frequency, we measure things in hertz. The universe, I think, is a little bit beyond our measurement system, and I would believe it is a lot more intelligent than our own. So reference to 144,000 as a frequency isn't a literal hertz signature. It is, however, something that we've heard multiple times written about. And isn't this the bigger truth? That when I speak to you about the 144,000 as a frequency, or even just as the 144,000, if I speak to you of that, there's something in you that answers. There's something in you beyond words, beyond thoughts. There's something that wakes up inside of us. That's how we know. That's how we know, ooh, there's an alignment here. Truth will only ever proclaim itself. A lie will always defend itself. Now let's talk about the law of the boomerang. The law of the boomerang is something that I first presented when I can't stop laughing when I think about the first time that I presented this to you. No, hopefully you never saw it, because it was a couple of years ago, and it was when I first started my YouTube channel. Gosh, it was awful. I was such a bad presenter. I really was camera shy, and I couldn't bring it through. So the law of the boomerang, although I've presented it numerous years ago and spoken to the Plasma Light Tribe about it, let me bring it to you here again, because now it matters more than ever. As that 144 frequency arises, as truth proclaims itself, as Christ consciousness reveals itself, the law of the boomerang becomes your greatest ally. It's a universal law. It's God's law. It wasn't in operation before, when we were under the dominion and control of the false matrix, because in the false matrix, shadow ruled the realm. Now we are coming back to light, coming back to our nature, coming back to divine order. This is where the law of the boomerang comes in. Anytime something tries to impede light, anytime someone or something tries to stand in the way of love, of truth, of divinity, of unity, of consciousness, it boomerangs back. So in other words, the ill intent boomerangs back to the person who initiated this attempt to throttle light. Now, it doesn't mean that bad things can't happen. We know that they do, and they still can. But the consequence to the person who pushes that malevolence into the collective is beyond description. It's an internal agony. It's an internal suffering. Not that I wish suffering on anybody. It is simply what they were projecting or attempting to project into the collective becomes their medicine. But then, here's where it gets really profound. The light that was being messed with, for want of a better way of saying it, the light that was being tampered with becomes bolstered. This is what we're seeing. It's not just the return of darkness back to its sender. It is the bolstering of light. It is the amplification of light. It is the solidification of our timeline and ourselves in our timeline, walking that higher timeline back to love, back to unity. When Kundalini rises, and I must just stop here as I talk about Kundalini and refer back to how much distortion there's been everywhere. And here's an example of that distortion inside of the spiritual community, where Kundalini was made into something perverse. It was made into something that was sexualized. It was made into a sexual energy. It is not. It is divinity that rises. It's Christ consciousness that rises up the spinal column. And when it rises all the way up the spinal column, it literally crowns, as a crown of light, it crowns your head as a halo of light. And this is why Charlie Kirk and people who are biblically minded will refer to Jesus being the King of Kings. It is for each one of us to remember that we are here to be the second coming. We are here to allow our Christ consciousness to resurge, for that 144,000 frequency to really become amplified and bolstered within us. We're embodying light. And when we do that, we begin just at the very beginning now of wearing the crown of light. And this isn't your superiority, this is your truth. And it is for every single person to claim their rightful place in love. It's a humbling journey. And I often tell my online community about humility, to be humble. It's one of the cornerstones of enlightenment. And so often people ask me, but what do you mean, Kerry? What is humble? It is looking, introspection, true, authentic introspection, looking into your world to consider, are there places where I've jumped the gun, been mistaken, been defending an illusion? Because I promise you there are many, and it's okay. It's not about judging and shaming yourself. It's about reclaiming yourself. Remember, light only proclaims. Darkness blames. Darkness is that aggressive force. Light is only here to reveal itself, but to see it, you must be humble. So no matter how loving you are, how humble you are, how aligned to the 144,000 frequency you are, there's a light arising in you, and it's rising way brighter than it's ever risen before. So come, let's be the second coming. Come, let's be Christ consciousness together. Come, let's be love. Let's stop looking for the answers and be the answer. Let's stop demanding change and be the change. Let's stop telling other people to be loving and just be love and just be kindness. Because this is the truth of who we are and always have been. And you feel that inside of you. Just as you know that your name is the name that you were born with, it is the name of this lifetime. You don't doubt, is this my name? You don't say, well, I believe this is my name. You know that's your name. Your parents gave it to you, whether you like it or hate it. You know, this is my name. And just as you know your own name, truth wants to know you. Love wants to know you. Not just you knowing love. Yes, that's part of the beauty. Not just you knowing truth. Yes, that's part of the beauty. Love wants to come home where it belongs, inside of you. As much as there are beliefs out there that talk about us being sinners, needing saving because we're such vile things, from my heart, I can only ever express to you the truths that I have been shown from the galactics and other non-terrestrial beings. That we are made of pure love, and we're here to reclaim the pure love that we are born innocent, that we're made of innocence. I'm not condemning anybody else's viewpoint. I'm only saying, here's the truth. It's in front of you. And if it resonates, it's yours. And if it doesn't resonate, it's not yours. And that's okay. Look how simple love is. Look how easy love is. So Return to the ease of life, the simplicity of life, the beauty of life. And from my heart, all the way into yours, I send you so much love. Feel it. Let it in and let it awaken you to the truth of who you are, to the truth of your soul, to the truth of your eternal spirit. Welcome back to love. Love 2.0. You always knew love before. This is the time now where we know love at a deeper level, and I'm so glad that I get to share it with you. Here's a video that I recorded quite a while back on the 144,000. If you haven't watched that already, go ahead and watch it now.